If you've watched around 100 movies, watch this video to the end. Understand story structure, and you can make stories too. We love movies. We want to feel moved by movies, and we want to learn more about them. Going forward, I'll be watching movies with you, one by one, and analyzing their story structures. As we analyze several films this way, you'll start to notice that there's a common pattern in movie stories. A movie begins, a protagonist appears, an incident happens shortly after, then the next thing, and the next. There's a consistent pattern to this progression. Indeed, the only way to truly understand story structure is to analyze each film yourself, step by step. I'll guide you through that process. For those who don't just want to feel emotions after watching a movie, but also crave intellectual satisfaction, or for those dreaming of becoming screenwriters, I believe the work we'll do together will be helpful. Each time we'll embark on a long 2-hour journey alongside the protagonist. It'd be nice to have a map in hand, right? As you all know, the oldest story map is the beginning, middle, end, which serves as the origin of the 3-act structure. But looking at this, you couldn't really find your way. It's as vast and overwhelming as the Gobi Desert that Ed Harris's group faced in The Way Back. Fortunately, the world already has story structure maps that clearly establish and further refine the 3-act structure, like this one, like this one, like this one. The map that you and I will use is the hero's effort structure. Here, hero is used to mean the protagonist, not necessarily a literal hero, because anyone living an ordinary life around us can become the protagonist of a story. The core of hero's effort can be summed up in a logline like this. A problem arises. To solve it, the protagonist makes a first effort, a second effort, a third effort, and finally awakens, leading to the final showdown. The key words here are effort and awakening. When we break this logline into stages aligned with the 3 acts, it looks like this. Problem occurrence. The first effort, the second effort, the third effort, awakening, the final showdown. Act 1. After the movie starts, the first stage is ordinary world and values. This is where the protagonist's everyday life, personality, values, job, relationships with others, and the era's context are introduced. The most important thing here is the protagonist's values. For example, in Taken, Brian lives alone after a divorce, has an upright character, and is introduced as a retired special agent. This man, who loves his daughter dearly, holds the value of paternal love. The second stage is inciting incident. This is when an event shakes up the protagonist's normal life. In Taken, someone precious to him is kidnapped. In Don't Look Up, they discover an asteroid that could destroy Earth. The inciting incident doesn't always happen only in Stage B, but it absolutely has to happen somewhere in Act 1. Later on, you'll see that a double inciting incident structure, with one main event and one sub-event, is also pretty common. Stage C is ordinary effort. The protagonist now has a problem to solve because of the inciting incident. Still a bit dazed, the protagonist makes their first effort. Since her grandson is involved in the case, she has to do something, right? At this point, the effort is the easiest, a starting point, something that doesn't take much energy, because that's the kind of effort they can make right away. In Taken, Brian gathers information about the kidnappers.
What else?
Do you have a 96-hour window from the time she was grabbed?
To what?
To never finding her.
In 127 hours, Aaron, whose arm is trapped between a cliff and a rock, struggles to push the rock away with his own strength. Stage D is goal and obstacles. Most first efforts fail. Even if they succeed, they're not strong enough yet to solve the problem. Now, the protagonist snaps to attention and gains a clear goal. I'm going to save my daughter no matter what. Once a goal emerges, obstacles inevitably come with it. Just like in life, goals and obstacles are a package deal. Remember this. Act 1 only ends once goals and obstacles appear. Now we're in Act 2. Act 2 is split into two parts, the first half and the second half. Stage E is serious effort and respite. As Act 2 begins, the protagonist puts in a serious effort, one that takes more energy than the first. Brian investigates the lodging where his daughter stayed and ambushes Peter, who had approached her. The protagonist still has a bit of leeway at this point, so they can gather more information, secure weapons, or find allies, preparing in various ways. When Peter dies on the run, Brian seeks out an old friend who can help. The next stage is minor crisis and beginning of inner change. The second effort usually fails too, and even if it succeeds, it's still not strong enough.
お父さんお母さんきっと助けてあげるからあんまり太っちゃダメだよ食べられちゃうからね
Thereafter, at this stage, the protagonist passes through a minor crisis.
いいかいお前の初仕事だこれから来るお客を大湯で世話するんだよしのごの言うと石炭にしちまうよ
And as a result, an inner change begins to faintly emerge. In a lot of entertainment films, this inner change gets skipped entirely. Brian finds a girl with his daughter's jacket and risks his life in a shootout and car chase to save her. Yeah, but there's no inner change here. Instead, this process is replaced by showing his concern for his daughter. Up to this point was the first half of Act 2, and now the second half of Act 2 begins. The next stage is all-out effort and partial success and worsening situation. The protagonist makes their third effort. This time, it's an all-out effort, giving it everything they've got. Thanks to this effort, they achieve partial success, but they still haven't solved the core problem. Because of the unresolved parts, the situation gets worse. Or sometimes, because the effort succeeded, they end up facing an even stronger opponent. Either way, things get tougher.
You don't remember me.
Now Brian, thanks to the girl's info, at least punishes the ones who kidnapped his daughter.
What?
But he hasn't rescued her yet, and he's now in a position where he has to confront someone higher up the chain.
Where can I find him?
The next stage is major crisis and despair and regrouping. Because the situation worsened earlier, the protagonist faces a major crisis,
1 minute, 26, 25.
falls into despair. But then pulls themselves together. The protagonist can't just stay in despair after all. And the story moves into the final phase, Act 3. Brian gets captured and is in a dire situation where he might die. But he barely escapes, and hearing that his daughter's been put on a ship,
There's a boat by the quay.
he panics. The ship's leaving, his heart's burning up, but he manages to leap onto the deck. The movie heads into Act 3, where the final showdown awaits. Now we're in the final Act 3, the final phase and awakening and challenge stage. The movie enters its final phase. The protagonist realizes something. All the efforts they've made so far were just them doing their best as their current self. The protagonist awakens to the need for complete transformation, and, after this awakening, undertakes a new challenge. Warning, from this point on, there are details about the endings of The Sixth Sense, The Matrix, 127 Hours, and taken. In The Sixth Sense, the protagonist realizes that he can no longer deny his abilities or keep running away.
Do you want to tell me something?
He gathers the courage to approach the girl and fulfill her request. As mentioned in Stage F, there are plenty of flat protagonists who don't experience this inner awakening here. The veteran Brian comes injuries, but there's no awakening like Neo's in The Matrix. Next comes the climax and ending stage at last. Now, the protagonist faces their final showdown, makes a choice that highlights the message, and the story wraps up.
I love you.
Just like with the inciting incident, a double climax is common here too. One is the internal climax, where the protagonist's inner conflict is settled, and the other is the external climax where the goal they've been chasing gets resolved. Finally, Brian shoots the big boss without hesitation and rescues his daughter. He grows psychologically closer to her as they return home. Through the whole story, he proves the paternal love that was introduced back in the ordinary world and values stage. When humans face a problem, they don't pour in a ton of energy from the start. They begin with small efforts and gradually move to bigger ones. From the perspective of the energy spent solving a problem, the flow of the hero's effort structure becomes easy to grasp. In 127 hours, Aaron doesn't immediately cut off his arm trapped in the rock. He yells, scrapes at the rock with a small knife, tries to move it, and only after every attempt fails does he make the decision. This human behavior pattern applies almost identically, whether it's a major event like cutting off an arm, or a small one like getting ketchup on your clothes. I hope that through Hero's effort, you'll find it easier to understand the three-act structure. To sum it up, most movies are the result of pushing the protagonist to their absolute limit over 2 hours, forcing them to make choices and take actions, all within the framework of a theme. And watching a movie is about me sitting safely, while observing someone else getting increasingly cornered. I guess we all have a bit of that sadistic side in us. Next time, we will analyze one movie in detail using the Hero's effort structure. I've included a link in the comments where you can download a document about Hero's effort. If you want the next video to be uploaded, please like and subscribe. See you next time.